Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good evening in some areas in the world. Happy Thanksgiving in the US. Welcome back to the Pop and Wrestling Podcast with me, Coach 23, where we talk about pro wrestling, pop culture, and life in general. Sometimes. um, but yeah, it's Friday here in Manila, Thursday night in the US, and like I said, happy Thanksgiving. If you're hearing a background, that's a my kid watching Bluey. Um, he likes Bluey. He likes Miss Rachel more than his dad, more than his father. No, yeah. So it's kind of noisy. Doesn't want me to tone the noise down. That's why maybe my voice could be a little bit, louder in a way. But yeah. So yeah, welcome back. Like I said, happy Thanksgiving. I hope everybody is doing well right now here in our place in Laguna. It's kind of rainy. So cold. We don't need an air condition to feel it's really, really cold. Two electric fans, that's it. It's already that cold. So yeah. Yeah. So let's before anything else, yeah, we're about to talk about AEW again. Yesterday, in yesterday's show, episode 30, we discussed the controversies and what's going wrong. What's wrong right now with AEW? And I told you guys after the end of the podcast is that I'll do my best to see something positive about to say something positive about AEW, and probably I can say some things, but it's really difficult right now to see the positives of AEW. And to be fair, if you ask my wife, I'm the most positive person that she knew or she knows because I try to be as optimistic as possible as I can. And like I said yesterday, I am a fan of AEW. I'm still a fan. I might not be the same guy 5 or 3 years ago that every week watches AEW. Because I got soured for some reason. But you know, I'm still a wrestling fan. I still try to watch AEW as much as possible. I try to watch TNA, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Of course, WWE is there. Even the old school, original programming, documentaries. I try to watch as much wrestling as possible, because I have the time. Like I said, being a freelancer at work. Um, So yeah, like I said, it's difficult, kind of difficult right now to look at the positives of AEW because there's are there, but yeah, of course there are. So maybe I can highlight some, and maybe this is like a suggestion episode for AEW and even AEW fans, the diehard ones, because they are the one who's protecting AEW. Every time you say something about negative about AEW, they'll be the ones who'll be defending. Um, And me, like I said, I'm a wrestling fan. Across the board, I even watch ECW, WCW, past shows. As much as I try, I consider myself a wrestling fan. I consider myself, like I said, a consumer fan because I purchase things for about wrestling. Like this is how an old, very old Stone Cold Steve Austin skull, the cyborg T-shirt. It's already faded. I had this since like 1998. It's that old. Uh, Still fits. It's supposed to be black. Now it's almost white because of the oldness, the vintageness. But yeah, we can highlight some positives and suggestion. So one of the highlights, or probably the highlight or positive of AEW right now, is the roster. They have a great roster. They tried, before, like I said, during 2009, the night 2018 or 2019 press conference, Cody Rhodes said that everything will be fresh. They did that. They named pillars of AEW, names like Darby Allin, MJF, Jack Perry, or Jungle Boy, Orange Cassidy, Britt Baker is part of that pillars. They are saying it was a four pillar, but it's five because Britt Baker was like the pioneer for them for their women's division. She, in a way, was a draw for them. If there's like an AEW legend to be tagged as an AEW legend, it's Britt Baker. So they have a great roster. They have signed a lot of independent wrestlers. They have signed wrestlers from like New Japan Pro Wrestling or other promotions, even in WWE. No, WWE is included to there. Like I said, their high profile signing at the time was John Moxley because yeah, Chris Jericho signed before Moxley, but then again Jericho was already a free agent from WWE. So John Moxley, after like ending his contract around March and April of 2019, he signed immediately with AEW. He became a top star. So then afterwards, yeah, everything that like I said during that yesterday's episode that WWE released during the pandemic, AEW got them, and even after the pandemic, they signed guys like guys who ended their contracts from WWE, guys like Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan in WWE, Adam Cole, the rest of the Undisputed Era. So that's Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and after John Moxley, perhaps, not even perhaps, arguably for AEW's sake, their signing, highest profile signing, CM Punk. They signed him around 2021, I believe, or 2021 after the pandemic when fans came back. Um, so then you have your independent guys. You know, you like your Ricky Starks, your Brian Cages, Luchasaurus, you know, powerhouse hubs. You have those guys. So their roster is really stacked. They even had Ethan Page. Guys like Ethan Page. Like Brian Pillman Jr. now Lexus King. So their roster is really stack heavy. Even before WWE, they were already stack heavy, and they're even stacked now compared to WWE because even those when you sign an independent talent, it's safe to say that they already know what they're doing. Unlike WWE, especially right now with NXT 2.0, then the Black and Silver era, they're trying to hire NIL next in line. So those are really no wrestlers or athletes that don't even have like background in pro wrestling. Uh, and they are doing well. Wrestlers like Tiffany Stratton, Trick Williams, to name a few. Obafemi, who never had a match, but after 5 matches became the North American champion and one of the baddest dudes there. So you have a roster, you have a stack roster. It's just AEW needs to focus on how to work them, how to make them work. Um, that's already there. It's already planted. The seeds are already planted for them to to prosper, to be a challenger brand. That's again. Maybe I'll discuss that challenger brand tag later. Then afterwards, since you have that roster, then the next logical thing is to follow up with good storylines. Because right now, you can count in one hand which storyline is working for AEW. Working. When I'm sorry, working, people will be asking, are there any storylines working for AEW? Last year, during the past year, the storylines that they were focused on were Swerve and Hangman Page. Then you have your storyline with Bryan Danielson. Last year, their focus was MJF being the world champion. Uh, and who is the devil? Turns out to be Adam Cole. MJF loses the title to Samoa Joe at World's End last year, or this year, yeah, last year. So the thing is, they are soured on their own even fan base. I mean, like I said, when they started or debuted 2019, their Dynamite had like 1.4 million. And they created this like weird tribalism that hey, we got 1.4 million. Thank you. They're tweeting each other. They're tweeting like thank you for those who watched. Like okay, that seems okay because of course if you're a promoter, you promote your show, you thank your fans. But the thing is, when you put like tweets like that of hey, you start this tribalism, you start this war, and the imaginary war against WWE because WWE doesn't really thank their fans. They thank them by doing better shows, I guess, in some aspects. It's like if we tweet everything that thank you for watching this, I mean it loses a value. And I get with you like said, one of the guys I used to debate in one of this, wrestling boards say yeah, it's okay. He's a promoter. He promotes. I know, but do you really need to thank them every week? I mean, it's okay to be grateful, but you don't need to do that. Um, so they started a war, and it's a war that obviously they don't have a chance. At least they have a slight chance, but really, 100% they don't have a chance in winning. They beat NXT, WWE's developmental, show. And funny thing is, most of the wrestlers from NXT during the Black and Gold and Pandemic era, most of them are wrestling in AEW now. So they just got the people who they beat, and they're now working for us. So create better storylines, create better environment, because right now you're not acting as like an underdog. And I get it. The owner wants to pay the wrestlers, and that's fine. Um, in order to get for you, have a compelling, like I said, have a compelling argument because it's okay. What I'm trying to say, I guess here, let's say MJF. He's the best example I can think of right now. MJF was the world champion this time last year. Um, I believe he was the longest, or he is the longest AEW champion currently. In AEW history. So MJ lost the world title. They built him up to be a main eventer, and they put him there. Of all the 4 or 5 pillars that they have in, 4 pillars for men in AEW, he's the first one. He was the first one to get a world championship in AEW. So they built him up because back then the main eventers were Chris Jericho, CM Punk, John Moxley, Kenny Omega. So MJF was like a fresh face in the main event scene. The Hangman Pages, like yeah, like get people like those. And he was a world champion. He lost the title. Adam Cole betrayed him. He lost the title to Samoa Joe. He went out for a couple of months to rest, injuries, do movies or so. And because back then, past year or 2 years of MJF's career, it was like the bidding war of 2024, whether I'm be signing with AEW, WWE, but everyone knows, even me. I predicted that he will not be going to the WWE. He will stay in AEW. He will get lost in the shuffle of WWE unless he is really a bigger name, like a Cody Rhodes, like a CM Punk. So they built this up. So according to reports, the only thing that MJ wanted was to get paid because I think he's doing good work or great work, but he's not being paid enough. Then there's that rumor right now after he returned Double or Nothing this year that the reports were he's getting paid like $15 million a year. That's Roman Reigns' number in WWE. But if we're going to compare him, MJF right now, being paid that amount to Roman Reigns is still in the main event picture. MJF feuded with Daniel Garcia. Nothing against Daniel Garcia, but he's mid card at best. The Adam Cole feud was confusing. Adam Cole became the heel, then MJF was gone, MJF came back, he was a babyface, then Adam Cole became the heel, or still the heel. Then MJF left a few months or became the heel, during that Daniel Garcia feud. Adam Cole returned as a babyface. So the storylines are confusing. And MJF, what I'm trying to say is that MJF got paid, but he's not in the main event picture. Same with Swerve Strickland. Swerve Strickland was the world champion a few months back, lost to Bryan Danielson, and now Swerve is in the upper mid card feud with with MVP and the Hurt Syndicate. So what I'm trying to say is that when you put a wrestler in the main event scene for AEW, the best thing for you to do is have them stay as a main event talent. Because you're right now you're not treating them as a main event talent. Your mindset thinks MJ is a main event talent, so Daniel Garcia is now a main eventer. No, it's not working like that. MJ isn't elevating someone. Sure, Daniel Garcia is the TNT champion right now after winning it last weekend, but nobody thinks that Daniel Garcia is a main event talent. Will he be? Sure? Probably, maybe given a year, 2 or 3. But right now, I don't see him as a main event talent. MJF, in my mind, I'm putting an emphasis that MJF is a main event talent in a mid card feud. And don't get me wrong, here's an example of storylines like that. Big Bronson Reed is an upper mid tier, mid carder at best. Who did he challenge after SummerSlam? Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins is elevating him, to a main event status. And right now, where are we going to see Bronson Reed? In the main event, probably of War Games this weekend. So that's the comparison that I want to make. If you create talent, and also I'm not going to say that WWE is doing it perfect because right now WWE is also doing probably the same thing to Cody Rhodes. The chase was great. The chase was awesome to be the world champion. MJF did that. Hangman Page did that. Swerve Strickland did that. Then when they became champion, they became fizzled out. Even Cody, except for Cody. Cody had decent main event matches after he won the world title. Matches with AJ Styles, Solo Sikoa, who else? Kevin Owens. But that's it. The chase is good, but it's a matter of maintaining it. Cody Rhodes still a main event because he's the world champion. He's the top 4 or within the top 5 of Fanatics merch sales for WWE or all of entertainment, I believe. So it's the matter of how Tony Khan books the wrestlers. Book them properly. It's not that after they were popular maybe 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, then after they lose a title, they fizzled out. The Acclaim was popular last year, and where are they now? Right? And right now it's Private Party. Imagine if Private Party lost the tag team championship. Where will be what will be the position? What will be their position after losing the title? The only main eventer that every time that he loses the title that's still there is John Moxley. If there's a pure main eventer for AEW, it's John Moxley, and he's alone. Don't don't give me the thing of Chris Jericho is there. Chris Jericho is the world champion of a dead promotion. So focus on that. Elevate your talents and maintain them in that spot. And then when they're going to feud with a talent that they should be elevating, like I said, MJF and Daniel Garcia, pull Daniel Garcia on MJF's level. But I don't see it right now. MJF still, well, I can consider MJF as a main eventer. I can see Swerve as like the number 3, meaning that main event spot. Because Kenny Omega is still, injured and will be coming back, this January in another pay-per-view. So focus on that. Another thing that I can suggest to make your product better, I guess this is most of the suggestion that we were talking in the discussion board. Lose your talents, cut your talents. If their talents doesn't or don't want to be there, let them go. Don't don't use a pettiness thing. I mean, cut the wrestlers. Call Vince McMahon evil. Call Vince McMahon what names you can get. But if a wrestler doesn't want to be there, he doesn't keep them hostage. The only person I can think of that Vince McMahon held for a while was CM Punk, and that was the time that CM Punk really want to, really wanted to be out from WWE. This is way back 2013, I believe, 2013 or 2014, when he walked out and he got fired. But afterwards, if someone asks Vince for a release, he releases them. Guys like Cody, for example. If they don't want it to be there, let them go. Ricky Starks, based on his interview from with CVV, if you like listen to his tone, the tone of his voice, his body language when when you watch the podcast, he really wants to be out from AEW. He wants to compete with them, but it's like 60, 70, 80% of his mind, I want out of AEW. Why won't you let him go? Obviously, you don't have plans for him because that's the reports that even guys like Dave Meltzer are reporting. We have AEW doesn't have a creative plan with Ricky Starks. Let them go. Penta, okay, I can get Penta because Penta was out for like 6, 8 to 9 months because of injury. You can even let him go if you're not even using him. But afterwards, he was okay now, or he is okay now. And Tony Khan said, nah, we need another 9 months from you. And he's not even using him now. So there's that level of, pettiness. Avoid that. Another suggestion is this is for Tony Khan. I know you will not be watching this and I don't really care, but this is the suggestion from most even from the internet wrestling community. Treat AEW as a business and not a vanity project. Business, what I said, cut the fat of your roster. It was reported by even by Dave Meltzer himself that the talent contract for AEW is totaled now or ballooned right now to $110 million per year for all the talents. And you're happy, of course, because AEW gets paid 185 million, and most of the internet diehard AEW fans, the sickos as they call them, as Tony Khan, Tony Khan calls them, oh, we get paid 188 million or 185 million dollars per year. That's for 3 or 2 shows. That's for Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. SmackDown gets paid 205 million per year for one. That's for SmackDown. Netflix will be playing WWE for like 5 billion for 10 years. So that's like if the contract stays for 10 years, it's 500 million for one show plus the international, contract. So 110 million, 185, and people say, yeah, if just 110 million. So there's still like 75 million to that we have, and you forgot about them paying for like equipments, paying for venues, paying for sponsorship, paying for TV time or ad time, paying for what the back office, personnel, the employees, the office workers. The trucks are not. I believe that AEW doesn't own the trucks that they have, the Mack trucks that they use to pull the equipments. I believe they lease it. They have to pay for it. So I guess yeah, AEW can be profitable for that 185, but how much? For like what? 5, $10 million? That's your profit. You got your revenue of 185 plus the sponsorship, but you need to pay for a lot of things, a lot of tangible. Treat it as like a business. I believe Tony Khan is a smart guy. He's a numbers guy. So he's in terms of business guy, a numbers guy is not really a business guy or has a business mindset. Why? A numbers guy is more like you're more focusing on numbers. Like this, like this, like this, like this, like that. But a business guy would really search business ethics or business acumen. He will treat his business like my back is always on the wall. I get the point. Last year was like, or this year even, is like a terrible time because nobody really knows how much WBD will be paying AEW. Obviously, they get paid now. But the thing is, if I'm an owner of a business, I will treat it like I will go bankrupt by tomorrow. Because once I have that, mindset of, my business will tank tomorrow, I will have that, mentality of forward that nope, I will stop being bankrupt. And I don't see that in Tony Khan. Maybe because he's a billionaire or the son of a billionaire. So that's another suggestion. Another suggestion, I guess, is like I said, lose the pettiness. Another controversy that happened within this week. A wrestler from GCW Game Changer Wrestling, Effie. He made this comment, quote unquote, or I'm going to rephrase the quote. So earlier yesterday said that they book Hammerstein Ballroom 2 or 3 weeks before a GCW show. So meaning the ticket sales for GCW will definitely tank. Won't they will not be getting a lot of because they will focusing on they will be focusing more on my kid is crying. They will be focusing more on paying for like an ADW ticket that rather than a GCW one. And Effie made the comment of we don't have like 40 million in deficit. Our owner or the owner of GCW doesn't have a billionaire father, and you know we don't own a football team. And according to reports, Tony Khan was upset that Effie made that comment. That they decided that Ricky Starks was booked to wrestle for GCW, and guess what happened? They were like they pulled him Ricky Stark, they pulled Ricky Stark from the GCW show. So uh that's it. It's like okay, it's a pettiness. Just because Effie made a legitimate, and it's not even like disrespectful because according to the reports, Tony Khan took it a shot at his dad. If Effie was like correct or Effie was like stating facts, why are you upset? Now it's Miss Rachel. So lose the pettiness, Tony Khan. Be a businessman. Treat your company as a business. Because a lot of people right now are saying that you don't treat this as a business. CM Punk especially, because he was there with you last year. Um, don't compete with WWE. Be your own competition. Focus on your products. Stop trashing WWE whenever you say. Be consistent even. If you're going to talk trash with WWE, be consistent even. I know it's a bad business practice for some people, but if that what makes you happy, then go. You don't have a consistent. AEW doesn't have consistency. When I say this, one day Tony Khan will be saying AEW is the Pepsi of pro wrestling. WWE is the Harvey Weinstein of professional wrestling. Who is Harvey Weinstein? Google it. Then the next day will be when he was being interviewed by another, radio broadcast or radio program or whatnot. Yes, I'm willing to work with WWE if ever given the chance. Where's the freaking consistency? Eric Bishop was consistent when he's, trashing WWE back in the 90s. Even Paul Heyman was like, consistent and, you know, taking shot at WCW and WWE. AEW doesn't have that consistency with everything. That's the thing. I guess that's the best suggestion I can give you. Be consistent in all you do, in what you do, whether it's business related wise to your in ring style and whatnot. Because right now most fans are not seeing it because you went for 1.4 million in your debut to 1.1 to 900, 800, 700, 600,000, and now you guys are getting like 550,000 viewers in the states alone. Be consistent in AEW needs to be consistent at what you do. And this is like I said, even for the AEW diehard fans, the sickos as they call them, because most of you guys are overly protective with AEW. That you're already seeing the problem, but you're not acknowledging it. It's a bad thing to do. After 3 to 4 years, if that the thing with AEW is still doing it right now, bigger chance if WBD or David Zaslav is no longer the head of Warner Brothers or somebody purchased Warner Brothers, then AEW will probably not get another deal from TNT, especially if the ratings are tanking, attendance is being an issue. Another report is that they booked a 60,000 seater stadium in Australia. They now went from that to 13,000 venue, and it's going to be also a steep climb if you were able to book that seater, 13,500 seater, I believe. Because in the US, you're booking like 10,000 seaters and you're getting like 2,000 to 3,000 seaters in a Dynamite episode. So be consistent. Focus on your product. Work on your product. Don't stop trash talking, WWE or anyone else, or even being petty. Stop the pettiness. So yeah, I guess those are my suggestion and a little bit of some positive things about AEW. Hopefully you guys, understand. If you don't like it, that's fine. The truth hurts. That's it. The truth really, really, really hurts. Um, it stings, it hurts, but if it's the truth, there's nothing to be ashamed about it. It's the problem of AEW right now that needs to be addressed. So yeah, thank you for watching the Pop and Wrestling podcast. I know it's a little bit rant. It's not really ranting. Like I said, I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting. I'm looking forward for Wrestle Dynasty because Kenny Omega is coming back. I hope it's still the same Kenny Omega, but the verticolitis is a bad juju. Hopefully he's really really well and relaxed and fully rested. But I'm hoping for that great Kenny Omega match. So thank you guys for watching the Pop and Wrestling podcast AEW edition. And afterwards, I'll be probably doing another episode 31 now, for another pop culture talk. What's it? What is it? We'll talk about it later. So thank you guys for watching the wrestling part of the Pop and Wrestling podcast with me, Coach 23, where we talk about wrestling, pop culture, and life in general. Thank you guys, and see you guys soon. Out came the sun and